Hello there, Commonwealth from here, and let's repeat what we did after the final trailer of Tears of the Kingdom. 100 new details, back to back. So let's not waste any more time, but be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press that notification bell as we are going for 2023 likes and 333,333 subscribers for a bigger 3 prize giveaway. Number 1. Zonai rocket arrows. I love them, they're just as much fun as you imagine them to be. You can also get hit by them from soldier construct archers. 2. You can fuse Zonai rockets to regular items and send them flying to where you want. Shout out to Good Vibes Gaming for this one. 3. Zonai rocket traversal. Rockets are probably the most versatile item that we have seen so far in Tears of the Kingdom. You can ultra hand them on the Zonai floating platforms, fuse to your shield, and whatever else you decide to ultra hand them to. And if your tactic fail, you can reverse that decision by recalling the platform back to where you started. You lose your rocket, but at least you're not stuck in the middle of nowhere. And that is number 5, the problem with rockets. They give a punch and then disappear. Definitely far less time with this one than the Zonai Stone Bird Glider, but you can turn it into a plane with a steering stick and 2 fans ultra-handed to it. Hyrule Flight Simulator. For more on how it feels, check out our hands-on preview. But 7, it will disintegrate even with all kinds of batteries and fans attached. Makes sense, as otherwise we could just fly across the entire map. 8. If you abandon it, Skill Up demonstrated that the Zelda team has implemented realistic paper plane physics in air without propulsion. 9. For 900 Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. Yes, there are now Surface and Sky Island Koroks, and they all need to get back to Hester, as maybe there are over 1000 seeds this time. Speaking of tents, they are hiding, including on the leaves that you need to burn up, for instance with Flame Chew Gel. 11. You can combine Ultra Hand with Recall to solve puzzles. This game's gameplay and puzzles are absolutely nuts. Shout out for this footage to Zelda. 12. So my own, sadly no underwater swimming. Last hope is probably a dedicated Zora set or iron boots for said purpose. In return, you can skydive into the pool with your bow and arrow pulled. Shout out to GameXplain as they actually got footage of this crucial mechanic detailed in the 2021 patents. 14. There are limitations to ascend, but only if the ceiling above is too high from Link's head. 15. With ascend upon reaching the intended layer, time stops to give you a look of the surroundings or dangers until you decide to exit with A. 16. You exchange Zonai charges at the Zonai Gachapon machine and it drops what it wants, not what you want. So you might need to do multiple pulls. And you want to do that as it dispenses Zonai items. Meaning that the Zelda team will turn us into soldier constructs slaying addicts due to our gachapon addiction. Joking aside, 20. Gachapons are found near sky puzzles. We saw it in the final trailer, and now previews in the same area where we also learned that when cooking, Link hums Car's theme. A solid find by @ScorchedPrince on Twitter. 22. We no longer need to find a pot as we have a portable Zonai one, and it is only the beginning of the quality of life improvements from Breath to Tears. Since we now at last have an interactive cooking book with all kinds of recipes in its own part of the menu. The interface and menus are far better than in Breath of the Wild. More light mode, but also far better structured and easier to scroll through. 25. On the minus button we can see that the Sheikah Slate map is back, but with a new map feature. We have at least a 2-layered map in Tears of the Kingdom. While the surface map is in the same style as Breath of the Wild's, the sky one is depicted differently. I wonder how the underground map will look. 27. The travel medallion is back, no longer as paid DLC, and it is more useful than ever when you fall or get knocked off the Sky Islands. But if you keep your feet on the Sky Islands, you can enjoy heavenly views like this one. I have to say, I got really lucky there with the timing, and it completely looks like the Golden. The sky is just as seamlessly designed as the surface. It really feels like new land, but separated from the one we know and love. There's distractions everywhere, both right next to us and far out there on the horizon. 30. In the sky there are really no limitations on what kind of vehicles you can build, as long as the right materials are laid out, and even without, there is a mechanic that lets you build things not available in that area, or at least streamline the Ultra Hand process. The sky puzzles are perfectly laid out until you reach the main puzzle in that particular area. 33. The new Zonai Sky set is called the Archaic set. archaic means old-fashioned, but it's also an era of ancient Greece dating back to the 6th to 7th century BC, so over 2,500 years ago. Fitting, as this set looks very ancient Greek. 34. The other Zonai stuff is clearly Mayan or Incan. The style of the pyramid in the final trailer is a clear indication of Mesoamerica. 35. Remember the bomb rune puzzles in Breath of the Wild's underground Sheikah shrines? Well, now the pistons are in the sky and help you get launched to another sky island. Not only that, they send you much higher than in Breath of the Wild. We're still on traversal, right? So the Zonai steering stick. We already saw it in past trailers, but this thing can easily be ultra-handed to every sort of vehicle, and even stuff that shouldn't be vehicles. The ultimate Zonai remote if there ever was one. Zonai tech represents all stages of the Industrial Revolution, from the first hot air balloon to aviation and drones. 39. Zonai charges can also be used for temporary yellow batteries, similar to yellow hearts. Very useful in the early stages of the game. 40. The Zonai constructs can fuse weapons of their own, or at least used fused weapons. Arrow time no longer uses up as much stamina, which would have been pointless in the sky as you would immediately plummet down to the surface. 42. Slow motion is awesome, so it is nice to see that Flurry Rush is back. I'm glad Zeltic pulled it off, as it had to return especially against these new Lynels and Ganondorf. 43. Stamina while paragliding is also draining much slower, once again because of the high emphasis on the sky in the game. 44. There's also an old map which could work like the treasure charts we had back in the Wind Waker. 45. A different new item in the sky is the Magic Rod. I guess Link will be a wizard in this game. Shout out to Nintendo Fangirl for finding this one. 46. We have fairies around the sky fountain, and that could also mean proper giant fairy fountains in the sky. 47. The preview took place in the southern Hyrule Sky Archipelago, a collection of smaller islands placed in close proximity to each other. 48. The location of this archipelago is also surprisingly close, though slightly west, to the Great Sky Island, which producer Aonuma showed us around in March, and which we also got to play during the preview, the difference being that we were not allowed to capture footage. The previous Sky Islands with the direct footage were surprisingly flat, and lacked any major hills as seen in the March gameplay presentation. I think I know the reason why though. As 50, we are above Hyrule Field, which is completely flat, so do the Sky Islands match the landscapes below? 51, this might be the case as we have seen ice-like Sky Islands above Hebra, and Zora architecture above Lanayru in the final trailer. 52, you can fuse your shield to weapons, but for some reason, none of us previewing the game remembered to do it. Another thing to do on May 12th. We're on our way down to the surface, but let me point out that the final trailer's opening shot reveals our preview area, but also a lot about the nature of the Sky Islands, namely that they are provincial. What does that really mean? 54, that they don't seem to be interprovincially connected, at least not until much later in the game. Instead, to get to the Sky Islands of Say Faron, we need to go down to the surface, face Gleeok, unless we take a different route, and then make our way up from around Zonai ruins. In other words, 56, we'll be making our way from the surface up to the Sky Islands after the opening on Great Sky Island, not the other way around, which is our transition to the surface. Since nearly all regular vehicle building and the dedicated stations are placed here to get up vertically, and if done well enough, up to the local Sky Islands. 58. You can build all kinds of vehicles here with available surface parts combined or ultra-handed with Sky Zonai parts. But be aware, everything we build follows the rules of physics and chemistry as skill up learned the hard way. 60. Everything is more organic, as even bombs grow in the wild just like in Zelda's 3D past. Specifically the bomb flower, which was used a lot when ambushing the monster camp. 61. You can attack locked monster camps, both traditionally and untraditionally with new vehicles and rockets. 62. Meat arrows are a thing and can be used both to attack and distract, but also as a meme. Bokoblins and other enemies can now wear armor, making me more hopeful for Darknuts in Hyrule Castle. Art by Harry Darlington. 64. The camp is closed to launch a spike ball trap on Link, but 65. We can recall it at the last second and at best hit all of them on the path. Though 66. Enemy AI has improved from Breath, so watch out for explosive game overs. No matter what, we can fuse the giant spiked ball. 68 either to our weapon, or 69 our shield, both much smaller than what was sent our way. But not to our arrows though, so 70, as it isn't a material. The same goes with regular rocks and wooden boxes. However, you can fuse said rocks and boxes to your weapon or shield. The same goes for explosive barrels, so ours 72. But with the magic of programming, it only impacts what is on the side of the shield's explosive, much like we saw with producer Aonuma's puff shroom. Though you don't fuse a bomb flower to a sword or spear, or else you will all blow up. You need a shield to protect yourself from the blast zone. Speaking of combat distance, 75, Boss Bokoblin, who has a terrible reach with his weapons, but this disadvantage can be turned into an advantage by fusing a model bud to an arrow and fire it off at a specific enemy, which will confuse it, and 77, attack its own kind instead of Link, the ultimate Uno reverse when not using recall. Alternatively, you can also fuse a spear to another spear or pitchfork, and he will never touch you as long as the fused weapons hold. 79, if the giant pig is still standing, then continue your offensive by throwing materials on him by hand, including 80, white ice choo-choo jelly to freeze him, and red choo-choo jelly to burn him, and then finish him off. By the way, you can on top of weapons, horns, antlers or axes also fuse other enemy loot dropped by them. They are treated as material after all. 82, metal or iron weapons have all been weakened by malice, at least on the surface. Perhaps this is another reason to go to the sky to get non-malice impacted metal weapons. And over to something also different, Zelda's new Sheikah Slate, which is with Link and serves as our map, photo camera and album. 85, map pins you can place on the surface and now on the Sky Islands are back. 86, the Sheikah Towers are guarded by enemies for a reason. They are holding it against Link. Since we're on the subject of the less important Sheikah, preview regions had different paraglider designs, which we know can be customized with the previously mentioned amiibo. So 88. Next to the tower, there's a stone point. What is it? The Zelda team still wants to keep it a secret from everybody. 90. I however like to talk about stones, in particular the flame emitter, which can be used both to traverse and to burn. 91. The physics and chemistry engine is our best friend, as seen with me firing off a fused ruby arrow at a distance, but also worst enemy, as Zeltic experienced with his sapphire arrow launched from a close distance. 92. We also need to watch our weapons, as even when fused, they will still break. But if we see that happening, we can quickly dismantle the fused item or weapon to our base weapon. Right there, another quality of life improvement, this time with weapon durability. Now then, more on the location of the camp that was just cleared by so many of us. Good Vibes Gaming on their Flying Bird show that the camp is literally south of the Exchange ruins, but northeast of the Colosseum ruins and northwest of Lake Colombo. 94, we were not allowed to go beyond the mentioned vicinity on the surface, despite seeing a lot more from the South Hyrule Sky Archipelago. Now for the remainder of this video, let's return back to the sky, so 95. Something we'll be doing a lot, but this time to the Great Sky Island, where producer Aonuma showed us around. Here I can confirm that there are proper, extensive caves with Workhorse Zonai Ranger constructs in them. After all, this is a better Great Plateau, which 97 includes a lot more of what we'll encounter on the other Sky Islands on the surface, including 98, minecart raids and minecart ultra handing with additional ultra handing of a Zonai fan attached to your minecart. Good we have the final trailer and recent commercial to illustrate. 99. Much like the Great Plateau, the Great Sky Island is a sandbox, where only a certain select number of tasks are mandatory and the remainder are optional, as all of this is a taste of what awaits us later on in the game, on other Sky Islands, the surface and even on the ground. 100. That includes fighting the Minecraft Golem, which I can only illustrate from the February trailer and the attached screenshot from that month. Though bonus 101, be aware, he's a shapeshifter, not going to spoil into what. And there once again we made it to give you over 100 new Tears of the Kingdom details, this time on the previews. We have far more videos on the way, but also be sure to share some of your findings from the many previews, but not IGNs. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, as we are pushing for 333,000 subscribers and a bigger giveaway. Plus, do not miss any of our upcoming videos. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching until the end, and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.